So Nate, we're excited to have a conversation with you today and just talk about your 1 year at Catalyst now. It's kind of hard to believe the time's gone by that fast already, but just wanted to ask you a few questions and see what your experience has been like working at Catalyst, but also engaging with our community and engaging with our manufacturers. So why don't we just start off with a little bit of background? Um, tell everybody a little bit about your background and how you got into the position that you're at Catalyst now.
Man, that's like a crazy journey, and I'm sure we don't have enough time for the whole thing. But just to give a little bit of background, I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I graduated from Shenley High School. I went to CCAC here and there with very little direction after high school, and eventually found myself in the military, in the Marine Corps. After that journey, I knew that I had a passion for working with my community, but I didn't really have much direction in how to best do that. So I started out as an after-school van driver at an after-school program. And then, I was very fortunate the next year that I was offered, I also spent a lot of time doing a lot of volunteering. And I was offered a job the next year running a summer learn and earn program, which was really one of my first exposure to workforce development in the youth space. And over the next couple of years, I just really just developed a love for helping people find these new opportunities, their new passions and new ways to apply their skills to be able to change their lives. And you know, I guess what ultimately led me here is that I had an employer who I felt didn't necessarily value the skills that I brought to the table. And going to work every day was pretty stressful. And one day I was just frustrated at work on my lunch break, and I got a notification from, I think it might have been from Indeed,
Okay.
but I got a notification on my phone, and I opened it, and it happened to be this job. And I applied, and I was still pretty skeptical whenever I came into my interview. I was kind of unfamiliar with the organization. I was unfamiliar with the building that it was in. It was kind of all a little bit sketchy. But I accepted the position, and one of the things that really sold me on the organization is the fact that I constantly heard our consultants and SBAs preach to our clients, the need to support their employees, the need to help employees meet their personal needs. And I just couldn't help but think about how many other experiences would have been a lot better if had my employers had that message. So I thought it was just a really special place. I thought that this really sounded like a place where, as a worker, I could cut my teeth, and also it sounded like a great learning experience. So that's what led me to Catalyst.
So had you had any previous experience with manufacturing or much exposure to manufacturing prior to working with Catalyst?
Sure. So I would say, the exposure I had was limited to this. I used to be in logging and like do work like that. And I had a crew of guys, and whenever the weather was really bad, we couldn't go out and do certain projects. And we had a project in the Homewood area one day, and the weather was absolutely atrocious. Like there were, trees blowing over. It would have been very dangerous. So we just took a couple hours and we walked over to the Homewood Manufacturing Assistance Center, the Pitt Manufacturing Assistance Center in Homewood, and we took a tour of it. And that was my first time ever seeing a CNC machine and seeing, what some of these more, industry 4.0, high tech, modern day manufacturing processes really looked like.
So now that you've had some greater exposure to manufacturing as a result of all the outreach and work you've done with Catalyst over the course of the last year, what's your impression of manufacturing now?
I think that one of the things that exists in the public perception is that manufacturing, especially in Pittsburgh, right? Manufacturing is steel mills. Like you're sitting in your background is an old, built out steel mill. Steel mills and dirty jobs. There was a show that used to come on the History Channel or A&E called Dirty Jobs, and a lot of those jobs were like manufacturing type jobs that in a form that they existed many years ago. What's really interesting to me is being able to see all the modern ways that manufacturing processes are being used, and like the cool things that they're being used to make, like right here in our backyard. Like, had I not been in this position, I would have never in my life probably had the opportunity to see an underwater robot, that they're building right here in the city of Pittsburgh, based, and they're also, these processes are using a lot of the old school skills, can still be applied to some of these new processes. So they still need machinists and people with machinist skills. And if you're a guy who was a machinist, then they have all new set of equipment they can train you on. They can take your skills to the next level and help you build the next generation of awesome stuff. Like, to me, it's just really inspiring. Like, it's like a comic book or something.
So it sounds like you've gotten a much different perception of manufacturing than what you had before. But what's like the coolest thing you've seen so far in manufacturing outside of the robot? Maybe you already talked about.
So I'm a car guy. Like, I like cars, and I'm a Cadillac guy. Love Cadillacs. And when I had a chance to tour the Arm Institute, and they had this like prototype autonomous Cadillac, and like, to me, it was like the most amazing thing. Not only just we know that Pittsburgh is leading the charge on autonomous vehicles, and that's like a big thing in our region. But just to see the way that the technology is being interlaced with consumer devices, and then, like, not only that, but like, it's just, we're constantly pushing the envelope. The other really cool thing I saw is the Xbox cameras. I think they, like, lots of our kids, have Xboxes in their houses, and it was really exciting to find out that Xbox cameras are like one of the top of the line, sensors that you can buy for, robots and stuff like that. I just think that one of the things that I constantly learn every day is like some opportunity, a new learning experience for me as far as manufacturing. And one of the coolest things about that is, like, there's always a new piece of technology that's coming around. You know what I mean? People are always figuring out new ways to make, invent, and innovate. And a lot of that happens in the manufacturing space.
So let's transition to the Real Jobs Initiative. Tell us a little bit about what is the Real Jobs Initiative that you're leading at Catalyst, and how that can help individuals that maybe have never considered getting into manufacturing careers to pursue these opportunities.
Sure, I think you really just said it there with your last phrase, is that there's so many individuals in the region who have the skill, who have the aptitude, who enjoy working with their hands, who enjoy making things, but they don't necessarily know that the things that they enjoy are manufacturing, or they don't necessarily like have a pathway to those careers. And one of the things that I think Catalyst has decided is that it's important to us as an organization that we help folks find pathways to these careers, because number one, we know that Southwestern PA is the highest paying region in the country for manufacturing careers. And we also know that we have scores and scores of people in the region who can benefit from those careers, right? So one of the things that's been really awesome to me is to be able to go out in the community to connect with job seekers, to connect with community organizations, and to identify individuals who might not be familiar with manufacturing, but are interested in throwing their hats in the ring in building some skills, or putting the skills they already have to the test, and finding careers in manufacturing. And like I said earlier, Southwestern PA, we has great wages for manufacturing, and a lot of these jobs pay livable wages, and that's a goal that we set in engaging all of our job seekers.
Why don't you give us an example of one of your best success stories, or one of your favorite success stories coming out of the Real Jobs Initiative?
Sure. I have a couple of them. The one I'll tell today is I had a great young man that I was working with who was recently released from state prison. He was a dad. He was a husband. He really cared about his family. And when I initially engaged him, he was like really interested in manufacturing. He was really interested in finding a better job that would help him, engage his family. He was working in the home health aid field, and he was able to he was able to find a job using some of the training that he received while he was incarcerated, in the manufacturing field. And now he is working at Chelsea Building Products, making die cast tools, and all sorts of metal parts, and he's learning his way around the shop and building his career. It's really been a life-changing experience for him and his family. Another awesome one is we recently launched a training program called Op Next that offers free no-cost training in the fields of CNC machining and welding. One of our real jobs candidates, a young lady who had been working in a job that she looked at as a dead end job, but it's paid her well enough that it was tough to leave. She was able to find upskilling opportunity in that no cost training that was able to that she looks at, that she sees as being able to help her move to the next level in her career. And we realize that in engaging job seekers in the community at large, we're going to encounter a wide variety of nuance and the things that people need, the things that people want, and the way that we can engage them with our services. But just being able to see these multiple groups of people and multiple pathways to careers in manufacturing is just, I think that's really our main goal here.
Kind of piggybacking off of that, what's been the biggest challenge that you've seen in the community, or the biggest disconnect, or potentially even if you look at it from the perspective of the biggest opportunity for Catalyst and other organizations to build these pipelines of talent to manufacturing?
Okay, sure. So there's a couple answers to that. The first one I'll give is just as for a personal example. I grew up relatively middle class. I went to a good high school, pretty good middle school. I had pretty nice opportunities growing up. I went to college a whole lot, like way more than like what you're supposed to. You know what I mean? I was in the military, been around the world and back. And then maybe like 2 weeks into working at Catalyst, I had a chance to tour one of these robot warehouses. I'm sorry, a robot lab where they were building robots and testing stuff. And I realized that, wow, this is the first time in my life I've ever seen any of this stuff outside of the context of a science fiction movie, right? So I think that one of the biggest challenges that we have is we have whole communities of people who have even less opportunity than what I've had, right? Who are going to naturally then have far less exposure, right? So that we have lots of folks, I run into young men all the time, who want to graduate high school and be electricians, which is a great field, right? Like you can be an electrician, make a lot of money. But I guarantee if you have the skill and aptitude to be an electrician, you probably have the skill and aptitude to build a robot. But if nobody ever told you that was a field that you could go into, it would seem like it wouldn't seem like something that you should build a life plan around. So that's the toughest. That's one of the bigger challenges. The other challenge is working with companies who haven't necessarily always been considering how to bring these folks into their roles and integrate them into their companies. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is a topic that you can hear if you turn on your TV and flip to any business channel right now. But I don't think that it's something that all of our businesses do well. And I think the one thing that we have an opportunity to do with real jobs and through the services that we provide at Catalyst is to be able to help skill some of our businesses up to be able to serve the next generation of job seekers.
So if you look ahead over the next 2 to 3 years, and you're able to look back then and see what you've accomplished in the Real Jobs Initiative, what do you hope that you've accomplished, and what does the program look like 2 to 3 years out from now?
As far as the like future projections and goals for real jobs, I would say that we want to see people working in manufacturing, advanced manufacturing, and robotics jobs. We want to see these roles starting to be filled by people who come from underserved communities, people of color, women, people from the LGBT community, people with disabilities, people who are veterans, et cetera. And I think that just if this program's successful, what we'll have done is we'll have created a manufacturing community of employers in Pittsburgh where all of these folks and voices are valued, and where they have safe, equitable places to work. And another, I would say that also my other goal is that we're able to implement our programming in organizations and educational institutions they can get this information out to young people from these underserved communities.
Going back to the job seekers for just a minute, what are some of the skill sets that you're seeing that are in high demand, either from a technical perspective, or it could be some of those soft skills that you hear that the companies are really seeking when looking at new candidates?
Sure. So there's a few things, and that's a great question. Number one, I'll definitely say welding and machining. Welding, machining are huge. Just machining is a big one. I have, companies who build the most amazing things in the world, companies who send, packages to the moon and space shuttles to the moon, who need people who can operate a lathe in a machine, in a CNC machine, to make metal products. That's a thing. And just to reiterate, we do have, that no cost training going on with New Century Careers to provide, machining training for folks who are interested. Welding is a career that, is more well known than machining, but I think that, you can be welding on a construction site, or you could be welding in a laboratory somewhere. And it's a skill set that is widespread and is highly useful. Other great skill sets to have, if you're a computer person, Python. If you're a programmer or a software developer, Python is one of the skill sets that our companies ask for quite a bit. Another great one is wow, man, cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is a huge skill set. Above all, the ability to show up on time, ability, to have reliable transportation. We definitely, as Catalyst, we recognize that, transportation is a barrier for a lot of folks, depending on where you live. Public transportation isn't going to be as equitable. We do have resources built into Real Jobs to support, folks who have transportation limitations. So yeah, just the soft skills, being able to show up on time, being able to, be a hard worker, machining, welding. Another great one is additive manufacturing, which most people, most people will call 3D printing. If you have experience using a 3D printer, then you can get a job somewhere doing manufacturing, and one of the best things is if you have that experience, I would love to talk to you and see how we can, get some more training, get some more skills under your belt so that you can really go in somewhere and do 3D printing on a professional level, additive manufacturing. So yeah, those are probably the main three. 3D printing, welding, additive manufacturing, and then we want to have people with soft skills. Also another one that is a little bit less technical, human resources. All of these companies are looking to grow. They're looking to build. They want to hire more folks, and they need the next generation of people who can help identify those diverse, equitable, candidates, and create inclusive workplace environments for them. So yeah.
So, just briefly, why don't you outline for us what are the services and what is the support that you can provide to a job seeker to help them on this pathway?
Sure. So just to wrap up, if you're interested in engaging in the Real Jobs program, I recommend that you go to our Making Your Future website. You click the career counseling tab, you'll see my handsome face, large and in charge right there. There's a very, very, very brief form. And I'll get in touch. And basically, to answer Scott's question about the services we offer, we provide you career counseling. If you're interested in a pivot to manufacturing, which, as I said, is Southwestern PA is the highest paying region in the country for these jobs, and you want to know how can you get a piece of that, and you've never thought about it before, you've never worked in this field, you may not have had any training, you can fill that out, and we can talk about what is the best way to get you involved, whether it's in an entry level position or whether you want to get some training so that we can work up to a position of at a higher level. We can provide those services. We also Catalyst, we have a large catalog of clients of small and medium-sized manufacturers. We'll work with you and advocate with you as a job seeker to get your resume on the top of those piles and get it seen. And being part of the Catalyst network and having access to the resources, the training, and the company, the catalog of companies that we work with, I think is a great resource for a job seeker.
Anything else you'd like to add to the conversation that we didn't touch on?
Hey, just that, we've been able to serve, a bunch of communities around Pittsburgh. We've been able to, serve job seekers. We're always looking at ways that we can do it better. And the best way that we can do it is by, engaging with the next generation, the next job seeker, the next company, and figuring out, what your needs are, and, how we can, best get you into a job that will change your life. I think the coolest thing about Catalyst is there really are people here who care about those things. And, it's really easy for you as a job seeker to get involved and take advantage of everything we have to offer. That's all I got.
Well, again, Nate, congratulations on your first year at Catalyst Connection. We're excited to have you a part of the team, excited for all of the future growth that you're going to have with the organization, but also the impact that you're going to have on the community. So thanks again for taking some time and sharing your story with us and some of your tips and advice.
Thanks, Scott.